show that we are not afraid, we are not intimidated, and that we offer nothing but unequivocal full support and solidarity to them while they're under attack. Please stand up. Civil rights activists as agents of Russia is one of the dirtiest tricks of the U.S. deep state. They called Martin Luther King Jr. a Soviet agent. They called the Nation of Islam foreign agents. And we are here today to say that black people have the right to organize, fight for their rights however they choose, and that the U.S. government has no right to call them Russian agents or repress them in any way. The FBI raids must now stop. Must stop immediately now. Stop the raids!
Thank you for having me. My name is Columbayi Antoinette, and how I always start any speech that I ever do is with a chant. So I want to teach you, or maybe you already know it, join in, because this is just the meditation of my heart, even coming here, and why it would never be any kind of retreat. We would never surrender. We would never compromise. We will continue to move forward and build. Fist up! Fight back! Fist up!
Fight back!
Fist up!
Fight back!
Fist up!
Fight back!
Fist up!
Fight back!
This is what fight back looks like.
I did it for the clout. I do everything for the clout.
Nice.
You will never see me do something not for the clout. That's the only way I operate. That is the only way I operate. That is the only way I operate.
There is a great flip though. Like
You don't have any character.
You don't have cap detection?
Oh my god, did Inkbites just say I don't have character? I've been carrying the stream the entire fucking night, and Inkbites just said I don't have character? Chat.
No, I don't mean like content, I mean like morality. Like how can we trust anything you say if you do everything for content?
You don't know my name? I'm going to be the biggest political Twitch streamer. I'm gonna dethrone Hassan, and you don't know my fucking name yet? What the fuck is that?
You are nobody. You are nobody to me.
No, that's
no, he's got this guy's got I like it. I like it. I don't know.
I know Haslam.
Bitch.
I know
I'm
Haslam.
gonna make Hassan look like a bitch, and you don't even know my name yet.
I don't know you, but I know Haslam.
When I bring chicks to my place, I only have 2 toothbrushes. One is for me, and one I use for every other chick that I bring over to my house, and I tell them that it's a new toothbrush and it's only for them. So it's kind of smart because that's the type of shit that's the type of shit that guys do.
You have issues, buddy.
I like it.
You should let them take it home in a bag like they're from the
Adriana.
Teach me a lesson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm never going to be your man. I'm never going to be your man.
Yeah.
No.
I saw that.
Here's what's gonna happen.
Can we put some money on
Buy
this?
your own plane ticket out to Los Angeles. If I like you enough, maybe you don't have to sleep on the street in front of my apartment. You can come up to and stay in my living room. And we'll see where it goes from there. But I will never be your man.
Okay, let's place our bets, guys.
Okay.
We're playing a little bit
2
of.
weeks later.
There's no bet.
You guys
There's no
see
bet.
your
You don't-
relationship
No, because when I told you stand up, I want to see your outfit. You
in
said yes, mommy,
relationship.
and you did.
You don't have enough followers for that. You don't have enough followers for that.
now, Jackson, what if she just gives you like the most bomb head in the universe? Then will you reconsider?
I actually don't like
wouldn't,
that,
bro. She wouldn't.
To Texas.
No, I would come to Texas. You live in Austin, which is too far away from all the SMU chicks I'm trying to blow their backs out. So like, it's too far away from that. There's no reason for me to go to Austin.
What?
Low back will help you.
Can we see the fucking outfit or not, dude? You are being way too emotional about this. Step the fuck up. Let's see the outfit.
I'm passionate.
Are you passionate? You're passionate.
That's really good.
I thought you said
game.
you were a jackhammer or something earlier.
That was such a good
The
response.
hammer.
Yeah, that's a good response. If they ever call you emotional, say I'm passionate.
Listen. When I've already been name dropped on the podcast. When I'm on Joe Rogan, I'll come out and say hi when I'm in the area.
Holy
Okay,
shit.
well, listen.
When he's
Are
done
you
eating,
stand up or what? This is really dramatic.
He said
and for
no,
what? I'm
and
asking to
listen,
see what you're looking.
Adri, when he's done eating elk meat, oh, there it is. There's
Oh,
the.
he just did it. He just everything he just said just gone out the window. All integrity just
God,
out
he's
the
so
window,
hot.
dude. Doesn't matter.
There's no need to talk. I need to remind you, your name is Blowbacks.
Dude, if you're not even gonna fuck, if you're not even
Blow back.
If you're not even gonna stand by, if you're not even gonna stand by what you said, if you're not even
Subscribe, babies.
the last 30 seconds, how can people stand by your strong political takes? You'll see Trump and then Bernie next to
Your outfit makes you look
stream for a living?
Aw, kitty.
I make YouTube videos for a living and then I stream on the side.
Do people actually watch you?
Yes, a lot of people, way more than you, but probably about 1,000 times more than you. If I'm looking at your views right now, you can't even crack 10K on most videos.
Spit some game. Why don't you spit?
So you're telling me that they're embedding themselves in residential areas and they're launching attacks with missiles from residential areas. So then when Russia attacks back where they're getting shelled from, they're going to be shelling a residential area, which is, again, that's why you're not supposed to be able to do that. Launch attacks from residential areas, because then when you fight back, you're going to kill resident. And so could it be that tactic, that Ukrainian tactic of embedding inside of residential areas? Doesn't it sound a bit Hamasy?
Yeah.
It is a little Hamasy of them.
It'd be a little Hamasy right now.
So Amnesty International not playing favorites and just kind of making a record and stuff. And then Maria, somebody says, you understand that you have just given Russia justification to target our civilians? Each time they have bombed a theater or a hospital or a school, they have said that it was military infrastructure. You have given them and their supporters an excuse. No, the people who are doing that is the Ukrainian military, who exactly embedding themselves in residential areas. That's how you should be. So again, like an adult child of an alcoholic, you're not angry at the person who's actually screwing you. You're angry at the person who's telling you about the person who's screwing you.
Yeah.
And that's what. Why else? Why would you handle it any different?
What about those guns?
Come on. Well, actually, they have given an opportunity or even a moral order for Ukrainian troops to stop using Ukrainian civilians as human shields. Blame Russia all you want, but if you want to blame them for civilian deaths, please be as vocal against those who paint targets on civilians. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you purposely hide military targets with civilians. What? I read that wrong. Shame on you. Perhaps you will first write how the Russians violate all possible international rules.
They did.
From Amnesty International. This is what they're saying. He could just say I declassified it. Couldn't he do that?
No, it is possible.
There are multiple statutes governing classified information, including a law punishable by up to 5 years in prison that makes it a crime to remove such records and retain them on an unauthorized location. Kind of like Hillary with her server.
I was going to say, this sounds familiar.
Sounds like Hillary Clinton doing this official information on her own private server.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this sounds like.
Did he have the files in his bathroom and he had his assistants pouring acid on them?
Another statute makes it a crime to mishandle classified records, either intentionally or in a grossly negligent manner, which is what Hillary Clinton did, which is why she should have been prosecuted but wasn't. But you want to pretend still that Alex Jones tells the lies of consequence? He does not. And by the way, Alex Jones does, you know what's funny? How bad the corporate news is? He does much better reporting most of the time than corporate news does. Yeah, he does crazy shit like Sandy Hook. I have no idea what he got out of that. Another statute makes it a crime to mishandle classified records, either intentionally or in a grossly negligent manner, which is what Hillary Clinton did, which is why she should have been prosecuted but wasn't. A separate investigation related to efforts by Trump and his allies to undo the results of the 2020 presidential election and the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol has also been intensifying in why this is all about not letting Trump run again. They don't care if it's DeSantis. He's beholden to the same people. It's Trump that is the problem. DeSantis is beholden to the same establishment, and he doesn't say grab him by the pussy.
He's probably the guy scheduled to come in and keep it going after everybody gets sick of woke. And
That's
they go,
right.
here, we prepared a great, he's not woke, and he's not going to groom your kids. And then he'll do all the stuff, all the same corporate Florida crap that they all do.
You know, I see people like Biden administration supporters on Twitter already saying like, well, you know, this had to get signed off by a judge. It had to get, this is a big, if you haven't figured out how politically motivated our judicial system is already, between Julian Assange, between the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, between Russiagate, January 6th, all of this stuff, you are completely missing the point and living under a rock, because this is exactly what the judicial system does. It's all about kickbacks, payouts. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And you're right, Jimmy. This is about them making sure that Trump can't run again in 2024.
I just don't want them to be disappointed again. I know they've gotten their hopes up so many times, and I just really hope that the thing that a judge said it is a thing, and the top secret information is really.
So this is what's noted. These are political prosecutions. January 6th is also a show trial. This is all, again, this is not about finding justice or getting liberty, or this is all about politics. This is all about the establishment, Republican and Democrat, coming together to get rid of Trump, the outsider. That's what this is.
Now, am I wrong as a legal expert? Judge Judy is more legally binding than the January 6th hearings.
A new study, The Serotonin Theory of Depression, a systematic umbrella review of the evidence. So they did a systematic umbrella review of the evidence. And who were they? These are researchers from the University College London. They conducted what they call an umbrella review of past meta-studies, and they did systematic analysis of depression's relationship to serotonin activity, and it included tens of thousands of participants. I think that comes from the Hill. So here it is from this paper. It says, our comprehensive review of the major strands of research on serotonin shows there is no convincing evidence that depression is associated with or caused by lower serotonin concentrations or activity. That's exactly what Tom Cruise was just saying. He was saying there is no chemical imbalance. And now this paper is proving it.
I've heard other people say it and thought they were kooky for saying it. I've heard other people say that there's no chemical imbalance.
I thought for sure it was. So most studies found no evidence of reduced serotonin activity in people with depression compared to people without. And methods to reduce serotonin availability using tryptophan depletion do not consistently lower mood in volunteers. So when they got rid of the serotonin artificially, when they did that, they lowered people's serotonin levels. It didn't lead them to have a bad mood. So they're saying there isn't a connection between serotonin and mood. That's what they're saying, and that there's no evidence of that people with reduced serotonin is present in people with depression. Just what Tom Cruise was saying 17 years ago. Tom Cruise, almost 2 decades out in front of the rest of the goddamn medical profession. Oh my God, did he do his own research? Did he actually read? You're not supposed to read in this post-Trump era. It's bad if you read. You're just supposed to listen to other people, like Rachel Maddow. And you know, when people say trust science, you're not supposed to trust science. You're supposed to question science. That's how science works. It's not a religion. I don't have to trust that my priest is telling me the truth. I don't have to trust that a scientist is telling me the truth. There's supposed to be data, and it's supposed to be peer-reviewed, and people are supposed to vigorously question the data, the science. That's how science
just wait
works.
75 years, Jimmy, and you'll get all the data.
Yeah. That's how science works. Science doesn't work by not questioning it. That's how you make progress in science. You keep questioning old assumptions. Otherwise, we'd still be thinking about gravity in the way Newton did, as opposed to the way Einstein did. Einstein was anti-science. All right, so there you go. Go watch CNN and make sure you bring a diaper because you're going to be shitting your pants.
Who showed Fox News my TikTok account? Tankies, the new group of far-left extremists experts are calling 100 times worse than Antifa. That's right, Fox News. Tankies are worse from your perspective because tanky is a word for people who don't fall for imperialist propaganda. So I'm gonna keep poking holes in your lies and you keep crying about tankies. And eventually communism will.
Good point, and I think that we should also not miss the fact that this is a political project. You know, as kind of cringe as the photo shoot is, I think the copy of the accompanying article is almost worse. You have this section of the article that is really trying to do this kind of, I'm sorry, identity politics, I am women, hear me roar, this is a women's issue, won't somebody think of the children? There's a passage where they talk about Zelensky's wife and Jill Biden meeting in Congress, saying she was speaking as a mother and a daughter, not just a first lady. Quote, she showed us pictures of Ukrainian children who had been killed by Russian rockets, including a 4-year-old with Down syndrome, before amping it up. Quote, I'm asking for something I would never want to ask for. I am asking for weapons. Weapons that would not be used to wage a war on somebody else's land, but to protect one's home and the right to wake up alive in one's home. I'm sorry. To use this image of a slain child with Down syndrome in order to renew a call for weaponry from the American government seems to be craven beyond belief. It's the Simpson meme of won't somebody think of the children taken to like a really craven level and now literally dressed up in the context of a fashion shoot. This is a political ploy to get the average American who feels very deeply about this obviously horrific imagery that she's presented to us, to endorse a conflict that they know very little about.
I wanted to ask you about the person who is seen as the seminal conspiracy theorist, who has gotten, in my opinion, many things wrong and spread misinformation, who's even admitted to doing so. That would be Alex Jones. Alex Jones has also said things that have turned out to be true. Whether you like him or not. I mean, I don't know. He's just someone who's just like completely his political position and mine, I think, are very distinct, but he's been in the crosshairs of this kind of counter disinformation industry that's state backed, especially since 2017, when he was removed in coordinated fashion from all social media platforms, from Instagram to Twitter to Pinterest. And I actually came out and opposed that, not because I was saying I'm a great InfoWars fan, but because he's the canary in the coal mine. They're going after the easiest target. And I saw all these left lib accounts just cheering it on, like, yes, we got rid of that monster. Well, now he has just been fined something like $41 million.
49 and a half. Well, it's a total of, it ends up being like 49 and a half total.
He's been sued by the parents of a victim of the Sandy Hook shooting in Connecticut. Was it Connecticut?
This one was Texas, but then he's got a couple of Connecticut cases and another one in Texas. He's got 13 plaintiffs going against him in various different lawsuits. This one was dealing with 2 of them. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I don't have all the details down, but what's clear to me is that the victims of these plaintiffs are portraying themselves as the victims of too much free speech. And Alex Jones is setting the stage for, in my opinion, a flood of libel suits against those who are deemed conspiracy theorists. Yeah. And another point that Ryan made was that, or an assertion he made, which you hear a lot about Xinjiang, is that China has banned the Muslim religion, the Islamic faith.
Right, which is not true.
Which is not true. And you see a lot of satellite imagery from Bellingcat shows mosques were destroyed. And then you often look at what happened there, and it was, a renovation, or there's another mosque being built elsewhere. But there are mosques there. There are Muslim ceremonies. They celebrate Ramadan openly. But as you pointed out during this interview, the Salafi strain, or what is more commonly known as Wahhabism,
at risk of sounding like a conspiracy theorist, now that we know that the U.S. more than likely used biowarfare to induce Hugo Chavez with cancer, based on what Russian scientists are finding out by looking at the U.S. biowarfare labs in Ukraine, the 47 biowarfare labs that have been captured by the Russian military now. Now that we know that, I mean, is it out of the realm of possibility that the U.S. geoengineered some sort of lightning strike to attack the oil in Cuba? Recently, obviously, there was a lightning strike that started a massive fire. Cuba was already struggling with energy and production of energy due to the murderous, deadly U.S. blockade, the U.S. stranglehold on Cuba. And, you know, now a lightning strike happens to hit the spot where they're storing their oil. And we know, look up Operation Popeye. Since the Nixon administration, the U.S. has been working on, you know, geoengineering, some kind of weather weapons. And the purpose of this, you know, they said was to win the Cold War, to ensure that they won the war in Vietnam. Like, they're definitely still working on this stuff. And now that the empire is losing its grip on the world, and we have this emerging anti-imperialist bloc of countries, as well as an emergent anti-imperialist left here in the U.S., I mean, now would be the time to start trying to use these weapons that they've been developing for years. And, you know, there's no proof here. I'm not saying this is what happened. It very well could have been a weather incident. It very well could have been a horrible coincidence for the Cuban people. But I'm not ruling anything out anymore with these imperialist, for lack of a better word, I know this isn't materialist, but, you know, these satanic, demonic imperialists who run.
Well, we've sent anti-corruption officials to Ukraine, and it's no longer the most corrupt country in Europe. Next, I mean, the Transparency International, which is backed by the U.S. State Department, ranks Ukraine, I think, the 9th most corrupt country in the world.
And that's probably generous to Ukraine at this point.
Yeah. So we've, you know, Igor Kolomoisky is.
And I didn't talk about it because I thought it was really politicized, and it is politicized on both ends of the spectrum. Russia is also politicizing this, obviously, because they're showing a lot of the U.S. hypocrisy with this case. However, Russia's sentencing is not out of the ordinary for Russia. There are Russians here who have a possession of marijuana. The average sentence is 10 years, up to 10 years or so. So it's not like they're doing something out of the ordinary for somebody that's possessing marijuana. Their drugs laws here are a lot more strict in terms of like the broadness of it. But in terms of the reality, guys, up until recently, we've had so many people, and we still do. We have some of those same people that were jailed a long time ago for, like, what is it, like a small amount of weed, right? Like a very small amount of marijuana, for really just inconsequential drug issues in the United States. So to see the outrage of the U.S. and the liberal contingent, especially on this case, and to be just going all over the internet saying free Brittany Griner, especially when it comes to the silence and the overall just whatever about Julian Assange and other political prisoners, is really, really gets to me. It really irritates the hell out of me. Not because I want this girl to spend 9 years in jail in Russia, and nobody here does. Everybody is like, yeah, that's like, we don't think this should happen. It's excessive, whatever. But just to juxtapose that, like, I was somebody on Facebook today, I posted a picture that had nothing to do with this. It was pictures about when I went to St. Petersburg, and somebody was like, Russia sucks, free Brittany Griner. Like, and I'm like, okay, first of all, this has nothing to do with this picture, but okay, you're going to comment on this. Why don't we talk about how the United States has literally more incarcerated people for drugs than anybody else. And our current VP.
What happened? I'm sure they were fearless in their reporting, right?
Well, they were for a second, but then because of that, they got attacked and they caved instantly. Look at this. Look at this tweet. What he was saying there in this clip was that 30% of the weapons aid to Ukraine was actually reaching the front lines in Ukraine. The rest of it was not being tracked. And that's what other experts, including somebody from Amnesty International, told CBS News. So after they reported that basically the U.S. is not keeping track of the flood of weapons that it's sending to Ukraine, billions of dollars worth, CBS News got pilloried online. People were calling it Russian propaganda, all the usual stuff. And within hours, CBS deleted that tweet of the clip and even said that it was going to re-edit its documentary. And the basis for that, they said, was that they've received updated figures since then, and that recently one U.S. official arrived in Ukraine this month to help keep track of where the weapons are going. So somehow magically, a U.S. official, one person arriving in Ukraine this month, after this war has been going on for 6 months, can now suddenly single-handedly keep track of all these weapons. So the documentary is called Arming Ukraine, and the new title should be Censoring Journalism, because that's what CBS effectively did to itself after it got some outcry. And it's amazing how little it takes to intimidate people. I'm sure they got some angry phone calls from some sources at the Pentagon, and there are a lot of trolls online, blue checks, the government, people from the government of Ukraine, I imagine, were upset about this too. But that's all it takes. And that's how beautifully our propaganda system works. There's no like government agency saying you have to change this or you'll be put in jail. It's enough just to give people a little bit of flack, and the power of intimidation.
In the past 2 months, we've moved weapons and equipment to Ukraine at record speed. Drones, grenade launchers, machine guns.
We're seeing this incredible historic flow of weapons coming into Ukraine. Do we have any sense as to where they're going?
We don't know. There is really no information as to where they're going at all.